All right, so we're here with Escape, straight from
Yes,
Nashville.
are straight from Nashville.
Okay, so where were we? Um,
We're kind of just going over the collaboration process for Suncrowns, talking about the evolution of the whole track and um, where it started and where it's at now. So, I mean, we had been talking for, like I was saying earlier, we had been talking for like close to 2 years now
yeah,
about collaborating. I think we initially had something else in the works, but it didn't really evolve to anything. And then some time passed, and then I started working on this EP, and um, yeah, I had this initial idea, and I thought you could maybe do some cool stuff too. So I sent that over to you in like September of last year, and that's kind of where it started.
should we check it out? Like the first?
Yeah, we can play or show the first version of what I sent you.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah,
Hear that?
yeah. It's crazy how much it's changed. Just like you can hear how unfinished a lot of like the ideas were right away. I mean, like that first part is still like the core um idea that I guess the rest of the song like evolved around. But yeah, like even the intro and like how I had that after the first part of the drop, it kind of like built up again instantly. Yeah, it's crazy
Yeah,
just how much has been added.
and it was actually pretty cool. You know, the way you had like ideas, uh, almost like you had ideas for the different parts, but they were in a different order. So
Yeah,
I was like, okay, so that part, you know, right there in the middle is pretty good for kind of like the breakdown or build up section.
right.
But then what happened after was like, so why? So like, why is the drop so short? Why doesn't it continue? You know, to something else. So I had like all these thoughts. So what I ended up doing with the stems was not add anything new, but just kind of slice it up and you know and lay out the structure from those
Right.
ideas. And I think that's like how the whole thing got going.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Like I had the initial idea, but and I had all these other ideas in my head. And like you said, you can kind of hear them. They're kind of just like kind of compressed together though, and not like stretched out and arranged into like a full song format. Um, and like you said, like the first time you sent it back to me was pretty much what you did. You started to stretch stuff out and kind of add like more of an intro. Um, And yeah, when you sent it back to me, it already kind of felt more like an actual song instead of just like a random idea. And that alone gave me more ideas on, you know, where to go with it and new stuff to add, because then I ended up adding more stuff on top of what you added. And yeah, and then it went back and forth like those few times after that.
So if I like press play here, you can see that I put these markers here at the top of the timeline, like intro, bass, rinse, etc. So I already know in the beginning where the different sections of the songs are gonna be. And I think I just copy pasted much of the stems that you sent and made it more spread out. I also started to sketch intro melody in the beginning, which ended up being the melody that comes in the drop. The mix is all over the place.
But yeah, so I guess you had like that initial Falcon part before it drops. I guess you took that out though, because I don't remember that.
I never sent you that. That was like I was trying out different things, and then I landed on this sound, and I made this intro solo in there. And at first I was like, maybe there could be something like that in the intro, but I ended up discarding the thing. But I kept the same sound, and I made the melody out of it.
Yeah.
So it's
the Falcon sounds so good. I need to get that.
I think it's
it literally just looks like contacts.
I made this from
you made it from an impact spur? You're a wild man.
It's made with this.
That's crazy.
Pluck. It has like some percussion sound that's igniting the synthesis, and it's duplicated twice with different settings. Like if I change the setting, you can change all the parameters. But yeah, that was like, I think I made that earlier, like just for fun, or like when I was experimenting with Falcon. And I ended up using it here. But let me open up the second version, or maybe the fifth. That was the.
So yeah, the fifth is what you sent me back initially. I think that was like the first version I heard, where you had added stuff to it.
So.
So they're from Gravitas?
Yeah, I think that's from the Gravitas.
Oh, do they have a Ableton pack?
Indian Raga by Gravitas Create.
Oh, what?
I think Jesse sent this to me a while back. I ended up using it here. It felt natural because we're
What better use of it than a song that's being released on Gravitas?
Yeah. And
that's I didn't know they made Ableton packs.
Yeah, apparently they do with the Gravitas Create.
That's cool. I need to check those out.
And so yeah, then I added this.
So the main synth sound is from the Falcon as well. Yeah.
The main synth sound.
Yeah, or like sorry, not the main synth, but the main intro, like chords and the synth in the beginning.
I think I used a plug oscillator again, and also like just a regular sample engine, and basically just tweaked it, tried different stuff, and I ended up with this kind of a haunting chord bouncing type of a sound, and I like the vibe of it.
That sound is so cool.
A lot of this stuff is just like messing around and then
right
finding.
Dude, that's exactly my process a lot of the time. Just random. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. Just messing with stuff until I get some cool sounding things going.
And then I think this is interesting. Like, you know, I did this kind of stuff.
Right, you're right. You just mess with the transients.
Messing with transients, and I did that separately for each kick.
Yeah, because I had like 2 different kick sounds in there initially. Because like there's one that has like a white noise, like a vinyl thing with it, and then there's just like a normal. I think that plays right after that one.
Yeah. So what I did was, you know, the kick was like that. So I kind of like, you know, made it smoother.
Yeah.
And then I put a compressor after that. It kind of like creates a new transient.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like the way I'm like shifting the transient lower in the frequency spectrum. So it has like a lot of slap kind of to it.
Right. Yeah.
But somehow I wanted to go with
the kick's got a slap.
So I adjusted these transients here, and I think that gave the beat also like this kind of organic feel, because sometimes like on the first the kick might be slapping more, but then the second, third, and other sections of the bar, the kick is kind of like the transient is shifting around. So it gives the whole beat like a nice organic feel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I took the bass I chopped it up. I put the 808 on a different track, and then made a bunch of stuff to it.
Yeah, it looks like you just beefed it up even more.
Yeah.
And pressed it more.
Yeah. I used this low frequency max punch from Voxengo.
Nice. Yeah.
Subharmonic generator.
Mm-hmm.
So it's giving that bass sound even more low end.
Right.
And then when it goes to the second part, I just copied this bass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was definitely the version you sent to me first after. So I sent you that first version that we played earlier, and then this is what you sent to me back, like for the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously the big additions were the extension of the intro and like the intro lead and pad that you added. And then obviously the expansion of the drop and the pluck sound that you put in, and yeah, just like beefing up of the basses that I had in there, and yeah, and then from there, I think I added some small details throughout the drop, and I remember like tweaking some of the basses, and that's when we kind of started working on like the whole second part of the song more, and the drop. And that's when I added, you know, the halftime part with the pluck that you initially put in. And I think that's also when I added those more of the vocal stuff that's in there that wasn't initially in there, like some of the vocal samples that I put in. I think around the time that you added the guitars, when all that other stuff from my end came in as well, like the vocal stuff, and that's the final.
This is the pre-master, yeah. I think I ended up pitching the intro bass, the Reese basses. I chopped it up and I transposed the notes to kind of follow the chords and the intro that I'm building there.
Yeah.
And I think I used the kick with the reverb, you know, for the intro, stuff like that. And I wonder what this is. There are all these kind of hidden melodies in there. Can you hear this?
Yeah. Yeah, that's just tucked in the back. It's layered in with everything else. You can hear it though in the full song, because I recognize that.
And then I remember I was stuck with the intro for a long time, and then what I ended up was kind of bringing the melody from the drop, but making variations so it fits the chord progression better, and that gave it kind of like this feeling that, you know, something's coming. It's kind of like developing, the melody's developing,
Right.
And then it finally like finds the riff.
Exactly.
And then I think I played this with the guitar. Let's hear the guitar. Oh wait, there's the chords as well. And I think I layered it with, there's like a synth and the guitar playing in unison. So it creates like this, it's almost like you can't hear that it's a guitar.
Right.
So it almost sounds like a synth, but it has like this organic feel to it because there are like all the little nuances and differences between each notes. And then, yeah, like there's so much stuff in here.
Yeah, it went back and forth a lot, and there's a lot of like little details and layers throughout the whole thing. I mean, honestly, that's how a lot of songs that I do end up being, and I feel like probably the same for you. Just a lot of small detailed things layered throughout that you might not even hear when they're playing with everything, but when you take time to, you know, isolate them or listen to them on their own, you can obviously notice them more. But yeah, there's a lot of different layers going on, which is crazy about this. The crazy thing about this song.
Yeah. And did you hear the final Reese bass in the outro or the climax?
Yeah. So the Reese at the end you're talking about?
Yeah. Like it's pretty. There's so many things going on that it can be hard to hear.
Yeah.
But wait. I think it could be cool to hear it.
crazy on its own. Because yeah, that's just mixed in with that last part for the outro. So
yeah, sometimes, you know, some of the cool sounds get buried in the mix.
right.
Sometimes it's interesting to hear them separately.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um,
Then I think like all these little basses that you sent, or the, you know, this minimal drop. I think
yeah, so I chopped up some stuff with that, like how it sounds like it's um like repeated. I remember doing. I think I just chopped up like the audio,
yeah,
and kind of add like some movement to it,
and then I was kind of like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna do more of that. So
exactly.
so I added even more like pitch bends and
Right, right. And I feel like that is kind of how the whole process was between us. It was like we were kind of just almost inspiring each other with new sounds and ideas, and then taking what the other person did and kind of, you know, growing on it. And then, that's how I felt, at least, with everything. So yeah, it was super fun to make.
I felt the same way. Like it's best when it's kind of like just fun, you know, and
Yeah,
just kind of, like you said, be inspired by the ideas of what what you did,
hmm
like what the other collaborator did,
yeah.
and just kind of flow with it.